My concern is still on West. You know, West is a nuisance. I'm wondering what mechanisms or interventions you intend to employ to address the menace of West, so that we convert it from being a nuisance to a resource. Recycle, reuse, produce, regenerate energy, name it, because it is a real issue. Outline for us those interventions that you will employ. Secondly, I want to pick it from the question that was asked by Honorable Mbui on corruption. You've said yourself, corruption is killing our country. And I remember when we interviewed you on your first nomination, we still raised this issue of corruption in recruitment of officers to KDF. And you promised us here that you're going to deliver. But Honorable Duale, I put it to you that you disappointed the country. During that time, the amount that was being paid was between 300 to 400. But during your time, you presided over an increase from now for 300 to 400 to 700 to 1 million. And as representatives of the people, our constituents report this to us. At some point, even efforts to reach you were not fruitful. You could not pick our calls. So now, my question is, why should we trust you? Why should we believe you? Why should we believe that you are not going to transfer this corruption to the Ministry of Environment? Because even there's recruitment of forest to others. You need to assure Kenyans that you will do something when you get to the Ministry of Environment. Lastly, Honorable Chairman.
You've asked two.
On deforestation.
Okay.
There's a lot of felling of trees, even in public forests. We are saying, let us plant trees. Let us plant. But what are we doing about deforestation? Can I ask the last one that has been requested by the public?
Go ahead.
A member of the public has asked me to ask Honorable Duale, what is your connection with the Juja International Abattoir in Mrima in Juja? It has environmental wastage. I don't know what that means. Probably you can give your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Let me start with something Mrima Juja. Maybe the people who I sell my fattened bulls take to many slaughterhouse. If they buy and take it to our slaughterhouse, that is the only relationship I have. I don't own slaughterhouse. I sell to Farmers Choice. I sell to Kenya Meat Commission. I'm a very serious livestock keeper. And I do what we call feedlot. Two, so ask that person, maybe he's looking for another Duale. Let me answer about recruitment. I refuse to pick your call and many other people's calls because of corruption. It's because of the corruption. You wanted me to employ for you people. And many members of parliament will agree with me when even they send me text. I said, please go to the nearest sub-county recruitment center. So I'm very sorry, Honorable Mercy, if I didn't pick your call, I was scared you'll ask me to recruit somebody for you. And that is the level of how I abhor corruption. Two, I think when I went, is the only recruitment that I did under my leadership. The only one. And the speaker said it's a systemic. Systemic. It was
okay, inform him.
But Speaker, I must agree if I want to be informed.
Okay, point of order.
I remember the standing orders.
I know.
Point of order, Speaker.
Let's hear her.
My call. Honorable Speaker, I was calling the Honorable CS to seek clarification with respect to the concerns that were raised by my constituents, that those who were successful and had reported to the training camp were being chased away over flimsy reasons. And I think I can quote, one of my constituents was told that his testicles are not equal. That is why it's being dismissed or returned from the training camp. So I wanted to seek clarification from the CS to tell me what are the guidelines for one to be recruited. Somebody who is successful, he has already reported and is being chased away. I wanted it to secure that slot so that my constituents do not lose it as a representative of the people of Teso South.
Mr. Speaker.
Oh, yes, what's your point of
Honestly,
order? Okay, Mary.
it was very sad indeed. And my constituent lost that slot because I could not get the CS to clarify.
We hear you. Yes.
In fact, I had to look for a chairman of a committee to call the CS on my behalf because I thought because I'm a small person, he can't pick mine.
You are an
He actually picked, but I was not helped. I was not helped. I am speaking on behalf of the people of Teso South.
Good. But you are vetting him on behalf of Kenyans.
Yes.
Yes, on behalf of Kenyans. Yes. And it did not only happen to Teso South. Many Kenyans were returned from the training camp. And we are told those slots were sold again to some waiting rich guys with 1,700,000. It cannot continue. And we made it very clear to the CS nominee for defense that it should not repeat itself next time.
Yes, Junet.
Mr. Speaker, I want to sympathize with my colleague. And that issue has been rampant, people complaining. But the only thing I'm wondering with is if the CS of Defense by then could do measurement of testicles. It's what I don't know. That's what I don't know.
Mr. Speaker, let me, because it's Mr. Speaker, let me make it very clear.
Yes.
That the grounds given for the rejection of that recruit from Teso South is valid. Next year, if such a person comes, he will not be recruited into the Kenya Defense Force. Mr. Speaker, Kenya Defense Forces recruitment is different from the recruitment of the police. When people go are recruited at the sub-counties and they come, a very serious medical checks takes place. A number of people are sent because of medical ailments. And I think the former Vice Chief of Defense...
unequal testicles ailments.
Yeah, there were people...
Women can know that, Chair.
Mr. Speaker, I think, if you allow me to finish, there are many. The testicles that I want to go into is one of them. There are many, and the chairman of defense will agree. They measure...
Point of order.
Let me finish before the point of order. Mr. Speaker, there are many colleagues, there are many leaders who sent me why their person has been chased. And in 10 minutes, the leadership of KDF could give me 1, 2, 3, 4 reasons, measurements including. So I am sure the next,
women to assist them
not only on this. So Mr. Speaker, there are certain criteria. There are many, and those who leave, they are not replaced. And I think let us not discuss, with your permission, the Kenya Defense Forces in a very negative. They have a special place in that. But the chairman of defense can call the generals in camera, and you are now talking about testicles. They will tell you something about even the teeth. They will tell you many things. And some of these things is because when you go, the training of the Kenya Defense Forces is so vigorous that you don't risk to take somebody who will die in the course of the training. So don't compare it with how the police are trained. Don't compare it with how the Kenya prisoners are trained. But I am sure the information, the reasons why many, including my sister, Mheshimiwa Mary Emase. And please, going forward, if it was in camera, Mr. Speaker, I will even tell you more. But now that it's in public, I don't want to say more.
What's your point of order?
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. You know, the issue raised by Honorable Emase is something that is out there in the public. Many Kenyans complaining about, sometimes they think those are flimsy reasons why they are not taken. And I could understand maybe someone has squinted eyes because of shooting and, you know, flat foot, maybe because of running. I'm really wondering why, if what work testicles would really have to do with joining the disciplined forces. So I don't think we should belabor, but don't take it lightly that there are Kenyans who are raising concerns on the reasons why they are not taken to disciplined forces.
Point of order.
Yes,
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. With tremendous respect to Honorable Duale. And let the Army hear this. It's very important. We know the historical background of the set pieces that were given in Army recruitment, including teeth. It is there to bite bullets at a certain point in time in history. Today, they do not bite bullets. That's why you hear that saying, you will have to bite the bullet, because the Indians were refusing to do it. So you had to have teeth so that you could bite the bullet. We required tall people so that they would see enemies from a distance. Today, you don't have to do that. Because if that was the case, the Chinese and the Japanese would have a challenge. Eventually, such things became disqualified. I think the whole code needs to be revised so that we do not have human rights abuses. But they are not even abuses. They are excuses that the army is using so that it is able to bar some Kenyans from joining the forces, and, as we are saying, so that other people can actually get the slots. So surely the army must open up on this.
Point.
Thank you.
Let's not escalate this.
Okay.
For avoidance of doubt, Honorable Duale, I also have a child who was sent away for exactly the same reasons as Mary Masses.
Your Excellency, I think just to give the way forward.
Not my child,
Because
but not my son, but a child in my neighborhood.
Your Excellency,
Yes.
Speaker, you have, because of
And you remember I told you about it?
Yes, I think the leaders are raising very good valid.
Yes, Dawood, what is it?
You know, we have talked about men only, but even women are discriminated against. When they do a test, pregnancy test, they do not have anything. But once they go there, I don't know where it comes from, they have a pregnancy. And it's not true.
Anyway, let the nominee answer the question,
Yes.
and we move to something else.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I think because the leaders are raising very important and they don't have the information, Mr. Speaker, under your direction, we have a very robust, good leader, head of the military health department called Major General Nganga, through the chair of defense. I think you can call him to Akamkunji, and he lists the conditions which disqualifies. I think because what these are raising is public knowledge. Even I think they should even go to the media and they should sensitize the public. And I think is something we have discussed.
Focus on your environment.
So, no, let me go to. I'm no longer there, so.
Yes.
Yes, next minister will deal with it if approved.
Yes.
Speaker, Honorable Dawood talked about waste management. Waste management is a serious issue in our country. Mr. Speaker, why do I say so? The law is there, the regulations are there, county governments are not enforcing. NEMA, waste management in the first place, Mr. Speaker, is a devolved function. All that as we do is to support in terms of regulatory powers. But waste management will be something, if I'm approved, that I will take it seriously. From our homes, to the trucks that carry, to the dam sites, the Dandora dam site, the one in Kachok, I think called in Kisumu, the whole environment is polluted, the air is polluted, the water is polluted. The law says you must color the bags, you must differentiate from the homes. Our homes have a responsibility. There must be designated bins in all our public places. So, Speaker, one of the things that I want to introduce, if you approve me, is that even public transport must have a bin in the buses. You know, public places like even the parliament must have those two different. In the malls, there must be different bins. The one for the organic wet, the one for the dry. But public waste management, which is a devolved function, Mr. Speaker, is an area that I think we need to deal with.
A nightmare.
A nightmare. Number two, I think the Shamba system, the community forest association are working very well. Some are abusing the law. We have now put in place what we call the community forest association management plan, where they will help us which part of the forest with a proper plan they can graze, and which part of the forest they will help us and protect, and we will use. But
are you aware that your predecessor announced that there will be a Shamba system, and shortly thereafter, she said it will not?
That, I think, I don't want to indict my colleague.
Do you recall that?
Yes, I recall.
Yes.
But Shamba system or grazing or farming in forest by communities around under the Community Forest Association, which is in law, is about management, is about coexistence. We cannot regenerate, we cannot reforest, we cannot protect our forest if we leave the communities. Kenya Forest Service, Karura Forest, the way you see it, the way it's managed, is run by Community Forest Association, and they're doing a very good work. Noise pollution.
Do you consider allowing that kind of engagement in plantation forests and not natural forests?
Yes, yes, because we have got 150,000 hectares of plantation forest, which now we have put proper transparency and integrity measures and tendering system, unlike the old system where there was allocation by the big people in government. I think I totally agree with you. Community Forest Association, community living around must be given an opportunity, particularly where even a plantation has been removed, for them, as we plant, for them to plant and for them to farm. In fact, farming can be well done under the plantation, Mr. Speaker. Coming to noise pollution, Mr. Speaker, is another serious thing. But again, it's a devolved function. It's a county function. They have no capacity. All they do is they give license to bus, they give license to clubs, and they don't choose which neighborhood. There are people who have got sick people in their homes. There are people who have children who are doing homework. There are people who want to sleep early. But today you'll find bars and clubs in the residential area. Mr. Speaker, we will not leave that to county governments. We will enforce it. NEMA will enforce it. We will not allow noise pollution to take place in residential areas. The whole zoning, the whole land use system, even the land use system that the county government, has violated, must be brought back. So noise pollution is key, and we are going to deal with it, but it's a default function. I think, Honorable Mayor, I must say I have discussed about the waste management.
Let's go to Gikaria.
Yeah, waste management I have done. Reforestation, we're doing very well with the 15 billion tree planting program that we have.
Gikaria.
Thank you, Chair. I've really taken note, being a chair of the Environment and Forestry Committee, the departmental committee, just for purposes of future reference on what the nominee is saying. But, Honorable Chair, I have two issues. One is about the 15 billion trees, a very ambitious program. But the scientists and a few of the experts are also arguing in terms of forest fires. Assuming we have the 15 billion trees, and only half of that, God forbid, catches fire. So what are the plans that the nominee will take into consideration when he will be, if nominated? What plans do you have to address forest fires? Secondly, and I don't want to belabor on the pollution that has been spoken about. Honorable Chair, most of our schools and other institutions from the colonial times have been using asbestos for purposes of roofing. And asbestos over the time have been a cause of cancer and environmental pollution. Maybe what plans are there for the nominee to address the use of asbestos in, that are in our schools, health institutions, and so many other places? Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thanks, Speaker. Mine to begin with is, Speaker, I was looking at the resume or the CV of the nominee, and the CV has given a lot of hope to many Kenyans, professionals, that it's not only that you must come from Nairobi University that you can be nominated as a minister.
Which one is Nairobi University?
Almost every nominee,
It's
Honorable
called
Speaker.
the University of Nairobi. It's not Nairobi University.
Honorable Speaker, I thank you and I respect. I'll go your direction, but I will call it Nairobi University or University of Nairobi. But almost every nominee, Honorable Speaker, and I think this is good for record, for future, that people who have been to other universities, Moi University, Kenyatta University, all the people, Honorable Speaker, that I have seen, is only Nairobi University, Nairobi University, Nairobi, almost everybody. Until when I was saying...
Kindiki came from Moi University.
It's only one. It's actually a rare species. With this one, there are only two. Everybody else, Honorable Speaker, and I think it's good for record, that other universities, graduates from other universities, are qualified to become also nominees of ministers and even ahead of it should not be Nairobi University, Nairobi University. What about Kenyatta University? What about Moi University? And so on and so forth. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I will use the questions asked by other members to judge the suitability of the candidate. I thank you, Speaker.
Mine is very brief. Honorable...
You have any questions or don't answer?
Honorable Duale is telling us to plant trees, but yet Kenya Power on the other side is busy felling trees. There's I don't know, there's a trend in this country that Kenya Power has decided that it is actually going to bring down trees. Nairobi is awash with very hoary situation of trees that have been felled by Kenya Power very recklessly. Some very old indigenous trees. Honorable Duale, what will you do so that this cross-purpose by government is immediately stopped? Number two is the Mau forest. The Mau ecosystem has become a problem. Successive governments have not been able to deal with the situation. There's a lot of the human activity, and it is because of settlement of people living around Mau forest. What will you do to make sure that the people who've been moved out of Mau forest are resettled?
Yes, go ahead, nominee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me start with the asbestos. Mr. Speaker, asbestos is a serious matter. Asbestos produces something called fiber that leads to lung cancer. And Mr. Speaker, we have mapped out, the ministry has mapped out, NEMA has mapped out 4 ministries who their institutions still have asbestos since independence. The Ministry of Defense, if you go to our barracks in Lanet and everywhere, Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Education, many schools, and Ministry of Lands and Housing.
And churches.
I'm just first talking for government.
Yes.
So, Speaker, we have given, and health, we have given government entities until, if you approve me, December 2024, they must remove. And NEMA has put in place a program on how to dispose those asbestos. We expect county governments to give us land, field. Secondly, and more important, Mr. Speaker, now that we come to churches and other now individual private citizens, Within the next 3 months, if this committee approves me, we will also do an audit and map the whole country where asbestos roof is still in place. It's a dangerous thing, it's a threat to our health, and it is a cause of lung cancer, Mr. Speaker. I think on the 15 billion, Honorable Gikaria, it is not over-ambitious. We have to do it, and that's why the people of Kenya, in their own wisdom, have preserved environment in the preamble of the Constitution, in articles of the Constitution, whether we like it or not, in our own homes, in our farms, in the roads. Each and every citizen must take a responsibility of planting and trees and be part and parcel of this regeneration, reforestation, tree planting, increasing our tree cover, increasing our forest cover, and be at par with our neighbor Ethiopia. Honorable Koech, I agree with you. They cut my trees. And when I went home, the Speaker, I asked, but the lines were just too thin. They should have cut only a branch. Yes. But, Mr. Speaker, I think we are lacking, and we are going to introduce, if you allow me, if you approve me, I want to introduce something called urban forestry planning and urban green spaces. As we sit here, there's no even stakeholder. This Ministry of Forestry and KPLC and the people who are in the road agencies and others, there is nothing called urban forestry planning. We must plan for our green spaces in urban cities. We must plan for our trees in urban cities. Every citizen plants trees. They buy from they have seen on the road, and then an entity called Kenya Power Lighting cannot. Speaker, I will introduce what is happening in India.